Brian Ortega, a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt with striking power to match. He has the looks and the skills to be the UFC's next superstar. We were all ready to crown a new king, but we forgot. This is the blessed era. I'm Rich, he's Nate, and we're trading blows.
First of all, I gotta thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And second, I just gotta say, is there anyone else? Let's go!
Welcome back to Trading Blows, a new kind of fight talk, representing the hardcore. Bringing you original programming like the TB Fighter Profile Series. Join us on Facebook at Trading Blows Podcast, and check out our watch parties on Wednesday nights. Check us out on Twitter at TBMMA Pod, and on Instagram at Trading Blows. Please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or wherever you're listening. Rich, it was a pretty amazing night of fights last night.
UFC 231, we got the real pay-per-view, and oh my God. I mean, it really delivered, Nate. Especially that main card, it delivered. It was unbelievable. It
was just outstanding. I mean, like, every fight on the card was phenomenal, and the main event, I mean, Max Holloway, that was a performance for the ages.
I mean, we might as well just start there, right? I mean, like, Max Holloway, we both picked Brian Ortega to win, you know what I mean? And, listen, both kids are 27 years old, you know what I mean? Like, they both got long careers ahead of them, no question about it, Ortega especially. But, I mean, what a performance by Max Holloway, where with that performance, he has 13 consecutive wins at the UFC, which ties him with DJ, ties him with Bones Jones, GSP. The only person that has more than him is Anderson Silva. And, he's right in that mix, Nate, right in the mix. It's unbelievable. Nobody has really, I mean, who is really talking about Max Holloway being one of the best ever or best ever? I mean, you guys are having this conversation. This kid is molly-whopping everybody up and down the road. He's back.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. I mean, these are the kind of fights that define legacies. I mean, here he is with his back against the wall. He was the underdog going into this fight for everything that he's done. And like he said in his promo in the preview, saying how the next guy is supposed to be the guy that's supposed to stop me. Well, like, what about the next guy? What about the next guy? That's basically been his career. And here he is coming off the big major health scare that he had. And he goes out there, and that's the most impressive performance I've seen from anybody this year, I think.
It's unbelievable, man. I mean, that was really what it was. I mean, I didn't want to take anything away from Max Holloway and what he's done, but I feel like it's been so long since we've seen him. And with the whole health situation, and previous to that, he was having weight issues. He got pulled off the scale trying to make weight against Khabib at 155 that time. And that was a weird situation, but nevertheless, here's a guy trying to make a higher weight class, having a hard time. There was a lot of situations surrounding him that was extracurricular. But when it came down to brass tacks, dude, this guy executed an unbelievable game plan. He just staying out of range just enough. He knew. And the thing is about Ortega, he could not get it to the ground. I thought eventually it would happen. He could not get it to the ground, Nate. His takedown defense was superb. And he really couldn't get it there. And when he eventually kind of splashed to the ground, he got right back up. No problem. And he continued with these combinations. Never one punch, Nate. 3-4 at a time. Beautiful striking. I mean, the kid looked unbelievable. Busted his face wide open.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, Ortega's nose was broken within the first round for sure. I mean, it was bothering him, I mean, almost the entire fight.
At any time, you saw the power with Ortega in his previous fights, right? You saw the power against Guida, against Edgar. And when you can knock out Frankie Edgar, I mean, you've got certified power. There's no question, right? And so at any time, you felt that he could hit Max with something and change the tide of the fight, and you thought that was going to happen in the third. I still gave the round to Max, right? But he hit him with that spinning elbow. Hit him with some other shots that were big shots. Max ate him, buddy. He ate him. It was no problem.
Yeah, he did. Are you talking about the third round? I thought that was the closest for sure. Ortega may have won that round. That's a hard one to call.
Close one, but he hit him with some big shots. The point is, it wasn't like Ortega didn't have chances, buddy. He was trying to take him down.
Sure. No, I thought he had a good round there in the third, and I love that stare down at the end of the second round. They're looking at each other at the end, like Ortega's saying this isn't over yet. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's like, this is my octagon, and Max was talking shit. I mean, he pretty much called his shot against Rogan. He called his shot, buddy.
Hey, I told you. What I told you in the corner, I told you this is the round. We didn't get it in the round. We got it at the finish. Hey, he's a tough opponent. He's a tough guy. Like he said, we probably see each other all the way to heavyweight because we like to eat, so it is what it is.
I love the moxie of both these guys in the ring. Like, like this is my ring. Like, no, like how they're going back and forth like that. And I mean, Holloway is just beating his face in. I mean, let's just face it. I mean, he beat him up as bad as I've seen anyone get beat up this year.
He was doing such a great job slipping the punches, staying in the pocket. I mean, Ortega's got, he's got some good head movement. He's clearly got power, but that is definitely not his strength. His strength is on the ground, and he's going to shore that up. I mean, a loss like this is going to, take a man one or two different ways, and I don't see Ortega being a guy that's going to fold. I think he's going to get better from this. And you could see these guys fighting again, even at 155. I mean, both these guys are big guys for 155. You could see a rematch at 55, too. I mean, these guys are going to fight again, I think. No question.
Yeah, and there were a lot of classy things going on around this fight, especially with Ortega saying good things about Max, about his long-term health, before the fight in the press conference, saying how, your long-term health is more important than what we're doing, kind of thing, and hope, I hope you're doing well. And after the fight, when Max was getting his belt on, Ortega was there talking to Max's kids, slapping hands with him, talking to him and joking with him. Just, a lot of professionalism and class being shown on both sides.
You know what is about Max, too? You find that a lot of other fighters really got a lot of respect for Max. I mean, guys that normally talk a lot of crap, even trying to even a Conor McGregor, that a fight between him at any weight would be a big fight at this point. And you might think Conor would talk shit, but Khabib, everybody's coming out. They have a lot of respect for Max and what he brings to the table. Out in and out of the ring, I mean, the dude's got class, and he brings it. He does the Diaz brothers fight style better than the Diaz brothers. I mean, let's be real. I mean, he does it better than them. You know what I mean?
For sure. Absolutely.
An amazing performance. He called a shot and got it done the fourth. I mean, what else can you say about the kid? I mean, what else is left for Max Holloway, Nate? I mean, at 150, at 145, is it over? I mean, I'd like to see him fight Frankie. I know he just lost Ortega, but that's really the only guy on the list here at 145 that I'd like to see him fight. I think he's cleared the division out otherwise.
Yeah, I think he has too for the most part. I mean, here comes Kron Gracie, but I mean, he's, he has some fights that he has to win before he even can be considered for a championship fight. But,
no, yeah, exactly.
I think Max probably has to go up to 155. I don't know where he would start there. I mean, does he start right at the top fighting the championship level fights? Does he start off fighting Khabib, Conor, Tony?
Yes. He's a champion at 145 with a 13-fight piece record. At this point for DJ, and at this point for Anderson back in the day, and this and that, they were talking about super fights. Now's the time for super fights with Max Holloway. It's time. I mean, is it Khabib? Listen, what do we keep saying about 155, Nate? These guys got to defend. I mean, Khabib's got, listen, I'd like to see him defend first before taking a super fight, but if it's Max Khabib right away, I'm not going to be mad. That'd be an incredible fight.
Absolutely. And I think Max would be maybe even more effective at 155 because he's a bigger guy. I think he would fill in better, because he's fought there before, obviously.
Right. And it's not like a guy where you think, oh, he might lose his power at 155. Max will put you away, but he doesn't KO dudes, cold like that. He is more of a combination striker. And I think that lends itself well. Will the speed still be there? I think so. It'd be very interesting to see what happens now. But the important part is he looked healthy, Nate. He didn't look bad or off at all. He looked really good. And that was what I was really worried about. I mean, I want the guy to continue to be a healthy guy for his kids, first and foremost. And he looked really good, dude.
There was people doubting you coming into this fight. You were the betting underdog. Did that bother you?
Not at all. My fans got rich. You're welcome, my friend. Blessed era, 10 Island, baby. What's up? UFC Hawaii, take me home, Dana. It's about time. Let's go.
On top of that just capped off a great card. And the main card of this was just amazing. I mean, every fight delivered on a huge level in my mind. First you start off with the preliminary fights. Claudia Gadelha got beat pretty handily by Nina Ansaroff. That's a big upset there. Number 11 beat number 2. She came in with a good game plan and just, score and continue to win. A great win by Nina. Fantastic. And then Jessica Ai also with another upset win over Chikugan. Fantastic. Theodoro got it done against Eric Anders with a great game plan and, scored more. And, Eric's not done, of course, but he's got to develop some kicking game, I feel, Eric. But,
yeah, for sure.
He's got to round out his skill set, but he's going to be there. But a big win for Elias, too. But moving on to the main card, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, Santos and a Manoa. I mean,
Oof.
Santos didn't waste any time at all. Goes in there, drops Manoa. Santos getting creative in there. He's getting reckless at times, I thought, throwing like the spinning head kicks and just flopping on the ground.
He loves these spinning attacks. But
I don't know what he was doing with that.
He did that because Manoa rocked him, if you remember. He was in trouble when he threw that spinneroonie attack. Like, he was just trying to keep Manoa off of him because Manoa hurt him too. I mean, Manoa got hit beautiful like a couple times, and then it just went back and forth like it was incredible. But Manoa, to his credit, really stepped up and he delivered too. He did hurt Santos, late in that first round.
Yeah, he did for sure.
I would still give that round to Santos if we were judging the fight, but he definitely took a 10-8 and made it a 10-9. You know what I mean? That's for sure. I don't know where to go. Manoa, I mean, he showed a lot of heart. Do you call the guy that just got blasted 3 or 4 times by this hammer in Santos a bad chin? He doesn't have a bad chin, but he's been KO'd by Santos, Rumble. You know what I mean? Gustav. I mean, the biggest strikers. He's coming up short, and maybe I'm not sure if Jimmy looked better. I'm not sure if Jimmy's out of the UFC, but obviously he's fallen out of the top 10. And I think with Santos, you're seeing a title contender here, buddy. I mean, this guy has to stay at 205. He looks great. And top 5 next. I mean, what else? I mean, top 5. Let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And going on to Kyle Bochniak and Dawodu. Dawodu's really good, Rich.
Really fast, Nate. Really, really fast.
Yeah, man. He has some really good kicks, and Bochniak shows some really nice hand combinations, and Bochniak had a takedown, couldn't do much with it. Dawodu had those nice low kicks, too, that calf kick that we've been seeing coming up more and more lately.
Yeah, I mean, Dawodu's definitely a more professional striker for sure. And it's, and Kyle, listen, he what does he get through? He bites on the mouthpiece and he comes forward, and that's what I like about Kyle. But he's got to get a bit better with the striking game when you face a guy at the pedigree of a Hakeem. And then a horror show, Nate. A horror show with Cowboy Oliveira and Gunnar Nelson.
This was a great fight. I mean, Cowboy was taking it to him. Cowboy was winning this fight.
He won the first round, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, he did.
I mean, you could have almost said that may have been a 10-8 round for him. I love both these guys. I mean, the entrances, Cowboy coming in, dancing, all that. I mean,
great time.
The psyche of these guys, whatever they're thinking coming into the ring, they're about to lay their lives on the line. They're about to fight for everything they have. And here he is dancing, coming in with, to me it seems kind of bizarre, but you just never know whatever gets these guys going to make them do what they do.
Listen, they get into a cage for a living. I mean, listen, they're not all there, and we love them for it. You know what I'm saying? But these guys, no one's having a better time than Cowboy for sure. And Gunnar Nelson looked focused. He was getting the fight to the ground in that first round, and then Oliveira with his reach was still with the nasty ground and pound. Like he was going for leg locks kind of, and he was still taking bombs. Like it was bad news. It didn't look good for Gunnar. But then he found that elbow, buddy, and split him wide open. Blood pouring like he got hit with a knife, dude. It was bad news.
Yeah, the blood was horrible. I mean, it looked like he was painting the floor. It was that thick. It was like a paintbrush going across the floor. I've never seen it that thick on the mat like that solid.
Oh, it was, but it didn't help that that helped Gunnar sink in that choke and just the squeeze. I mean, it was like the old Crimson Mask.
You can see it squirting out from the one angle. They showed the one angle from the other side, and they show him squeezing and show shooting out.
Brutality, dude. But yeah, moving on to Valentina against Joanna. What can you say about Valentina? Listen, I knew about Joanna was going to lose this fight when she comes out to Shallow with Bradley Cooper singing. I mean, it's got to be the worst entrance music I've ever heard in my entire life. That song is the worst song in America. Don't at me. I hate that song. She's going to come out to freaking Shallow. You're done. You're done. It was over then. Game over. Just give her the belt. It's over. And yeah, but outside of that, dude, Valentina, obviously, dude, much bigger girl. I mean, Joanna's moving up to 120, moving up from 115 to 125. You want to look at the smaller girl in there.
Yeah, she did.
Oh man, picked her apart. All fight, dude. Picked her apart.
Yeah. For me, that was the number one factor right there. Is Valentina looked bigger and stronger, and she used that size well in the grappling and the clinch. She was dominating her in the clinch, making her work more in the clinch, trying to keep her weight off of her, and she seemed to have the clear edge in those areas. And Joanna may have looked to be a little bit quicker, but it wasn't quite enough for it to really become a factor. And they both had really good technique, landed good shots. Valentina had multiple spinning body kicks, and Johanna had the
spinning body kick. The spin, she uncorked that 3 or 4 times very quickly.
Yeah, really, really quick. Got it right in the solar plexus once or twice with that, and you could see her buckle just a little bit. And, Hannah had a really nice head kick in the third, and some other really nice shots throughout the fight. They both did really well throughout the fight, but to me, it was pretty obvious that it was, Valentina from start to finish.
You want to. Until the third round, she looked very hesitant. You got a girl that likes to come forward on her toes, and you didn't see that. She wasn't really committing to anything, worried about, because every time you want to throw a kick, Valentina was grabbing it. You know what I'm saying? She was worried about that. She was worried about, getting counterpunched and kicked. So I feel like she wasn't really there. And in that way, third round, she turned it on. It wasn't enough to win rounds, but she looked much better and more comfortable third, fourth, fifth, for sure. And that's when she started landing her strikes. But, what can you say about it? I think Valentina, 125 is still a budding division here, obviously, but I don't see this girl getting unseated for a while here. This is a perfect weight class for her. She looks really, really good.
Yeah, they both look good. I love the passion in a Joanna's corner before the fifth round, telling her she has the best cardio in the world, telling her how this is when it's going to happen, getting her all hyped up.
Oh, I like Joanna, man. I don't know if she's going to stay 125 or not, though, Nate. It's like Felder was talking about she put on muscle to get to 125, and it's hard just to get rid of that. But 115 is really her division. Is she going to be the small girl every time in 125? You don't want that either. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. What's next for you? Joanna's not going anywhere, but where she's going, I don't know,
Yeah, and I liked how Valentina acknowledged her corner after the fight, saying how this is really a big group effort. It's not just me; it's all of these people involved that make it happen for me. Kind of like how you see at these awards shows, how they kind of thank all these people. But I like seeing that out of the fighters, how they acknowledge their people like that.
Listen, quarterbacks always gotta recognize their offensive line. You know what I'm saying? You got to do that.
Absolutely.
It's a team effort. So where do you want to begin here with the news?
Greg Hardy's going to be on the same card as Rachel Osovich, and we all know the stories behind both these fighters. Greg Hardy was basically kicked out of the NFL for the most part, blackballed for good reason, in my opinion, for the domestic violence charges that they had against him. And Rachel Osovich just suffered a horrific injury at the hands of her husband. So To have these two on the same card, it's a bad look for the sport, Rich.
Oh, listen, Nate, and don't talk about, thoughts of prayers to Dana in this hard time. He doesn't want to he's done talking about it, guys. He doesn't want to talk about the situation anymore. He already addressed it. It's a non-issue to Dana. It's a non-issue.
So we've been building this ESPN card for a while, and he was one of the guys that we had planned on putting on that card. But no, it wasn't booked.
So what would you have done if she would have
said
that
she came off the card?
What would you have done if she would have said she wasn't okay with it?
I'm not going to talk about Greg Hardy anymore. I already covered this. I'm not playing this bullshit with you guys. He's on the UFC roster. He's on the UFC roster. Period. End of story.
Do you mind if I just ask one final question on that topic?
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, are just curious as to why. It's almost
he's on the roster. Listen, you guys want to be sensitive about. Anybody can be sensitive about anything. You can make an issue about everything. The weird thing is that you guys give a but she doesn't. She doesn't care. You know what she said yesterday in her statement? Please stop asking me about this. I want to focus on training. I don't want this to be an issue for me. I don't know this guy. This guy has nothing to do with me. I have nothing to do with this guy. This guy's never done anything to me. This isn't an issue.
That's complete crap. I can't believe this. First of all, you're going to have whoever was involved with this, okay? ESPN or UFC matchmaking, whoever thought this was a good idea, okay, should be fired immediately. I don't care. The fact that, Dana's has, listen, Dana, he likes to puff his chest up and be a stubborn guy, and in some ways you get great stuff like with Oscar De La Hoya last week, okay? You get some great stuff like that, but then you get a situation like this. He's really pushing this ridiculous redemption story with Greg Hardy. Oh, he's got kids, he's trying to turn his life around. He shouldn't be denied, opportunities to have a job. I'm not saying that, listen, okay? I'm not saying that. But when you're accused of violent crimes, okay, against, women, listen, no women, no kids. That's the rule, buddy. I don't give a shit what it is.
No women, no kids.
And the fact that you're going to have this guy, with a violent record like that, being an animal, you could have a job. Okay, I'm not saying that, but maybe your job shouldn't be also violence against other people. Maybe that shouldn't be your job, and you shouldn't be involved with the UFC. It sickens me to death this guy isn't even involved in this organization at all. You know what I mean? And the fact that They're signing off like it's all good. Like, I don't get it. Like, how thick-headed, how dumb-headed are we here? Like, if Jared from Subway gets out of the jail and he's jacked out of his mind, he got a great takedown game, is he going to be in the UFC now? Like, oh, he's moved on. No, he's a kid-touching piece of shit. And this guy is an animal who hits women. I don't want him anywhere near my sport at all. He shouldn't have money or fame. Fuck that guy. And I apologize for swearing. Fuck that guy. Honestly. I mean, Jared comes out, he's undefeated in the fucking jail. Let's put him in the UFC. It's all good.
I want to see you and Jared fight the octagon.
Light work for Jared. Light work, son. I'll take that.
I think he'd take you. Well, okay. Over the last 17, 18 years since Dana's been involved, he has, for the most part, had a really strong track record in doing the right thing. When Paul Daly ran over and sucker punched Josh Koscheck after the fight was over, he was banned and he should have been.
Paul Harris?
When but they, yeah, exactly, Paul Harris, and the same thing with Yamasaki.
Yeah.
He let that Valentina Priscilla Kushera fight go on too long, and Dana called him out for it. They've gone above and beyond and really made some good moves to build their brand, build the sport, build their company recognition. But this is probably the worst thing that I've seen them do that I can remember. I mean, this is the only time that I can think of where it's clearly a terrible move on their part, a terrible look for their organization, a terrible look for their brand. And it doesn't matter, because I saw him say how, we talked to Rachel, she's on board with it. It doesn't matter if she's on board with it or not, because exactly. What is she going to say? No, Dana, no, don't you dare. Of course not. She's going to do... She's going to focus on her message, and her message is that she's going to be an inspiration. She can't waste time dealing with this garbage with Greg Hardy. So I could totally see her being like, yeah, whatever, just don't slow me down for what I'm trying to do, because I think what she's trying to do is deliver a positive message to be an inspiration at the event. At the same time, you have this going on with Greg Hardy. She can't waste her time with that. She's going to do what she's going to do. She has to win her fight. She has to deliver her message. Dana... What are you thinking?
What is like you said, what is Rich supposed to say? You got the boss calling you. This is the biggest fight of your career that you basically, here you was on ESPN Plus, premier situation against another big star in Van Sant. This is the biggest fight, regardless of what happened to her. She could have gotten a poor thing, could have got a car accident, and she still wants to get into this fight. It's the biggest fight of her career. Okay, and what is the boss when the boss calls you? What are you going to say? Like, what are you going to say? It's not like you're Conor McGregor. You're still on the come up here. Oh, we still want you to fight. Oh, it doesn't bother me. Of course it doesn't bother her. She just got her orbital bone cracked by her husband. This Greg Hardy's not going to bother her. But what is she supposed to say? Like you said, what is she going to say? She's going to say, yeah, sure, boss. All right. And then Dana's going to sit up there. Like, oh, well, listen, she's fine with it. She supports it. She's fine with it. She supports it.
She was involved in this process.
Because on that same interview, now here's the thing. Another thing that pisses me off. Okay, here's UFC 231. You got these media scrums with these wannabe journalists out there, okay? The UFC PR is telling them, listen, guys, don't say anything about any other fights but 231. Don't ask any questions. Anticipating real journalists to ask questions about the ridiculous shit with Greg Hardy and this woman. I mean, are you serious? And then and then none of these guys have the balls to say anything? None of these journalists have the balls to go to Dana. What, you're gonna lose your credentials? I'd rather you be a journalist and ask a question. I mean, what? Who cares? You know what I mean? And then instead you have Aaron Bronster on ESPN, the company that is hosting this event, who now has a UFC contract, in this homogenized, softball interview with Dana, and then Dana can be like, oh, well, it's fine, guys. I mean, everything's great. I mean, what are you talking about? The Bronster, Bronster's gonna sit up on Twitter. Oh, well, I didn't have cue cards, and UFC didn't tell me what to say. I mean, listen, I got a bridge to sell you, Aaron. Are you serious? I mean, be a journalist. It's ridiculous. And then Dana's up there, Greg Hardy didn't beat Rachel Ostovich. No, Greg Hardy is a piece of shit, just like her husband is, and he shouldn't be anywhere near a violent sport like UFC. Go sell cars, go sell real estate, work at freaking GameStop for the holidays, son. Don't be in the UFC. I don't want to, and the reaction of the public when this guy is on the card should tell UFC, like, who is down for this? Is anybody down for this guy being in this UFC? Is anybody down for this?
Well, one of the things I'm most, I don't know if I'd say excited, but one of the things that I'm looking forward to seeing most is seeing how the UFC plays this out. Like, are they going to hype Greg Hardy all the way? Are they going to hype Osevich as an inspiration? What is going to be the storyline here? Because, they always try to push that story. What is that story with this card coming up?
This guy shouldn't be anywhere in the UFC. He's going to get put on this big card. He's going to mollywop. I want the dude he's fighting. He's fighting who? Who's this guy he's fighting? Alan Crowder. I hope Alan Crowder beats the shit out of this guy. I hope Alan Crowder destroys him. Okay? And the party's over. Greg shouldn't be in the UFC. Alan Crowder, you get a title shot when you beat the crap out of this dude. Like, I'm tired of it. Like, I want this guy out of here. I want him out of here.
I still think Jared might beat you
I'll put
up.
a front kick on Jared and put him into the next zip code. I mean, I'd love to be in the room with that piece of shit. Anyway, but listen, put 100 pounds on Jared. Develop the striking game a little bit. You know what I mean? You get you in UFC too, because you're trying to make a comeback as well. Anyway,
so Dominic Cruz is going to return from a 2-year layoff to take on John Lineker at UFC in January.
Listen, I want to see Dom back in there. What does Dom have left here? I mean, Dom's one of the best ever. Love Dom. I don't know, man. I mean, we'll see how he is against John. I mean, John's no slouch.
And the UFC wanted to book Woodley and Covington for UFC 233. However, Woodley is recovering from hand surgery. Dana's not happy about this. They offered Usman versus Covington at the Brooklyn co-main, and Usman accepted it. But Covington supposedly wants to wait for Woodley.
Oh, yeah.
It's turned into a whole mess. And now Dana's saying that they're going to move on from Woodley. Who's going to be the champ here? What's going on?
Woodley is the champion. He deserves to fight one of these guys. It's kind of preferential treatment. I mean, you let a guy again, we use Connor, doesn't fight for 2 years practically, and that's all good. You know what I mean? But a guy Tyron, he's the champion. And Colby has come out recently. He's like, listen, I'm the disputed champion. He got an interim belt where it was a guaranteed title shot on the line. You don't say these certain things and then renege on them. I don't get why, like Couture was saying, they manipulate stuff just to make fights. And I would love to see Usman and Colby go at it. But what's that for? The interim belt again, and they just strip. I mean, it's just a mess. What, Tyron's got to wait another month for the fight? Good. Have Tyron fight Colby Covington. Get it done. You know what I'm saying? Get this guy out of here, and then have Usman fight the winner. Simple, plain. If Usman has to wait, he has to wait a little bit. I don't get it. I don't get it, man.
Colby already has the interim belt. So while Woodley's recovering, why don't Usman and Covington just fight, and then the winner fights Woodley later this year or later next year?
That's fine too, but Covington doesn't have the belt.
How hard is that to figure out, though?
They stripped Covington of his BS interim belt after he showed Trump. They stripped him of the belt technically, so he doesn't even have a belt. Which again was a mess up on their part. Let him. If it's a real problem with Woodley, keep Covington as the freaking interim belt holder. You know what I mean? That's it. I mean, but instead you strip him. You know what I mean? And now you have this situation with Usman and him. I mean, any combination, in terms of seeing fights, I want to see any combination of these three fight. It's going to be awesome, okay? And you saw Usman step to Covington, at this event or whatever like that, and totally punked him on Twitter or whatever. That was hysterical.
Yeah, he did.
We only talk on Twitter. We don't talk in person. We talk on Twitter. So just look down. Yeah, talk to everybody else. I'm right here. You can talk on Twitter, right? You can't talk to me face to face. I'm standing in front of you. Talk. That's what I thought. Twitter thug. What? Say something. Say something. Say something. No, you're looking at your phone. Say something. I'm in front of you. Talk that shit you want to talk on Twitter. Talk that. What? What you do? What you do? You ain't done nothing.
I don't know. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, bro. And I understand that Woodley's the same guy that held out for a year and a half to wait for a title shot to begin with. You know what I mean? He's that kind of guy. That's the guy you're dealing with. But nevertheless, he beats everybody you put in front of him. He's a super strong competitor. What are you going to do? Strip Woodley? I mean, come on, Dana. I mean, get Greg Hardy out of the UFC. Stop worrying about Woodley, who's actually that class dude. Big weekend, and Mohegan sub for Bellator. Indeed. I don't know how I would love to go to this. I mean, this is, I'm in the East Coast. You're in the East Coast. I'd love to make this happen. Back-to-back nights for Bellator. Where on Friday, February 15th, you got Karatonov against Mitrione. And on the same night, you got Crow Cop, Roy Nelson.
That should be great. I mean, both those fights.
Dude, are you kidding me? I can't wait to watch those. Czech Congo's fighting against Menikov in a rematch. That's going to be really fun. And then, not to be outdone, Saturday night, you got Venom Page returning against Paul Daly in one of the first rounds of their welterweight GP. That's going to be fantastic, too. I mean, Bellator really should just put all this whole card together, in my opinion. What are we doing splitting it up? I mean, you put MVP and Paul Daly on a card with Karatanov and Crow Cop and this stuff. I mean, that is a mega card. I mean, mega. That's the best card they could make.
Well, they had some pretty good success, I think, when they had those back-to-back cards, a few months back, and so maybe this is a follow-up to that to see if they can make those back-to-back cards work. Because I mean, that'd be awesome. Like if I could go there and go to both of those shows back-to-back like that, it'd be fantastic.
That's like going to see a band that has plays multiple nights, and you're like, oh, and you go there Friday night, and then you hang out there on Saturday, and then tonight we got this other fight. That'd be a really cool experience if you could get that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the way where they're kind of differentiating themselves, where they're kind of bringing something else. You can go there and get a whole weekend of fights.
Listen, if I win the lottery, I'm going to be there. So anyway, so on top of that, the ESPN Plus card, they have moved the Henry Cejudo TJ Dillashaw fight for the flyweight title. That's now that's now going to be the main event, ESPN Plus, and then also Cowboy Cerrone's fighting Alexander Hernandez on the same card. No, is that what I'm looking at?
I think it's the same card. Well, yeah, it's a UFC Brooklyn, so yeah, it has to be the same card,
They're
right?
Stacking his card up.
And I mean, a Cowboy was here saying how he wants Conor, he wants a big fight, now, and now he gets Alexander Hernandez, who's a tough fight. Yeah. I mean, make no question about it. This guy Hernandez, he's no joke, but. Is it a big fight? I wouldn't call it a big fight.
It's a big fight because it's on ESPN Plus. People who have it, you know what I'm saying? It's a big fight. It's the first, it's
probably gonna be a great fight.
Great fight. But you're talking about Cerrone. He just got done fighting pretty much, and he doesn't care. He'll fight a big fight a week from then. I mean, he doesn't really care. But he's going to be on. He wants to be on ESPN. I mean, they're trying to put their big guns first time out the gate. I remember when it was the first fight on Fox was JDS Kane. That was a huge fight then. You know what I mean? So they're really trying to blow this up.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, when he was asked, what do you want next? I'm sure his little thought bubble didn't have Alexander Hernandez in it.
No, but I mean, are you going to wait for one of those guys? You're going to get on one of the biggest cards. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What are you going to do? I mean, he wants to fight. He wants to work. I mean, a Cowboy's a guy who likes to fight. He fights 4 or 5 times a year sometimes. So
Brock Lesnar's one of his samples goes missing from a database for USADA. I'm not surprised by any of that.
I mean, this is just like a chapter. This is like a chapter out of a book with this. I mean, is this a joke?
They're going to do whatever it takes to get him in the ring. Against DC, and that's it. I mean, you're not going to see Brock. I mean, Brock is he's one of the scariest guys walking, but he's a joke too. He's a joke.
Yeah, he's a joke. Of course he's a joke. I mean, he's a celebrity. He's not a top-notch fighter.
No, hell no. I don't know, man. Anyway.
Yeah, the rules for the Mayweather fight came out. The Mayweather-Nasukawa fight were released. This is so stupid, Rich. So it's 3 rounds. So it's 3 minutes for 3 rounds. Straight boxing rules, no judges, and it's a full contact fight, but it's not going to count on their overall records.
This is coming as a surprise.
And you know that Mayweather got that little piece in there for sure. I mean, just in case. The
whole thing's a joke. I mean, who cares?
Why isn't it a fight? Is it a boxing match? Then let's make it a boxing match. But what is it? It's nothing.
Nothing. It means nothing. And yes, it helps people get tension on the radar, and maybe that will pay dividends for Ryzen in the future. People that don't know who he is will now maybe check him out in a real fight, and you should because he's ill. But who cares? Who cares? It's an exhibition. It's crap. It's crap.
This makes me think of because what I'd like to see is I'd like to see Tenshin Nasukawa go in there and kick him right in the face and knock him out because remember when was it Ray Mercer fought Tim Sylvia? They had that agreement that because they couldn't get it sanctioned under boxing rules, so they had to do it in mixed martial arts, and they had the gentleman's agreement that they wouldn't kick or knee or anything, and then they came right out, and as soon as they came out, Sylvia kicked him right in the stomach or something like that, and Mercer was like, I can't believe this, and Mercer just knocked him right out.
That was the last time you ever saw Tim Sylvia ever, but it was a joke. But coming up now, we got the over-unders.
Now to the over-unders for the year.
I will give you the over-unders for the season.
I have them for you. I always try to even them out, overs and unders. I didn't this year. I took 4 overs, and I took 3 unders. We used the official line.
You could sit there, hey, that sounds good. Then you realize if you don't get it right, you're going to get killed.
Before we get to the over-unders, which I promised today.
How many new UFC champions will we see next year? We have the number set at 2. Over under 2. How many new champions are we going to have next year, Nate?
So when you look at the champions that are most vulnerable, who would they be? Or look at it the other way. Who do you think are definitely going to be champions next year? I think Jones is definitely going to be a champion next year. And Jones could even maybe be champion in 2 divisions next year. But I think he'll definitely at least be the light heavyweight champion next year.
Yep. Well, think about this, Nate. Think about this. Whoever wins in New Year's Eve in 2018 will be the light heavyweight champion. So going into 19, who's going to be the one holding that belt, and will they continue to hold it going through 19? So,
and I think the person holding that belt, I think the person who has that belt will hold it, because I don't think anyone else in that division is going to beat Gustav next year either.
Right. I hear what you're saying. So where would you put it, Nate? Over, under? Over. You want to take the under or take the over?
I'm going to take the over. Because Woodley's obviously vulnerable.
You're definitely going to get a new heavyweight
I think
champion.
Holloway's safe. I think Khabib is safe. I think Valentina's safe. I think Cyborg is safe. I think Whitaker's vulnerable. I think
you're going to get a new heavyweight champion for sure, no matter what. That's one right there.
Are we? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he's going to retire.
Well, that's. I think personally, I like the over myself. I do like the over with new champions, because I feel there is going to be a new heavyweight champion. I feel like, if Bones wins it, does Bones move up and relinquish the title? And then we have to get a new 205 champion. You know what I mean? So
but do we, though? Could Bones defend both? Like, fight twice a year, defend both? Because these guys only have to fight once a year if they're champion anymore, it seems.
Right. Does Max Holloway move up? I feel like there's a lot of movement.
But, if Bones is ready to fight twice a year, can he defend both belts? Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see him defend both belts, dominate both divisions. That's what I want to see. I want to see him take it up a notch. The guy's been out of the sport for 3 years or whatever. He has some catching up to do. I want to see him fight twice a year. I want to see him dominate both divisions. Go up and down, make it happen. Show me something I've never seen before. You're the best ever. Be the best ever.
Well, it sounds like you want to take the under, Nate. It sounds like a lot of these guys, are going to stay champions in your mind. I feel like there's not going to be much movement with the belts. Like a lot of guys.
I don't think Woodley's going to be champion next year. I don't think Whitaker's can be champion next year.
That's 2.
Now, that leaves one more.
So out of all those, there's got to be one more.
I think we're probably,
you can get one more out of all these divisions.
I think, that's what I'm saying. I think we're going to get one more. So I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I like the over in a different way, like I was saying, but I do like the over. I think you got super fights. You got guys moving around. Cejudo, the whole division's done. So what's up with that? Holloway, you got a guy that, could he fight 145 again? Sure. But, does he stay there? Does he move up? What happens in 145? Because once a guy like Holloway moves up, like Conor, like these guys, they're not going to go back down because the weight cut. You know what I mean? So I feel like once he's up, he'll probably have to relinquish the belt. I think Dillashaw's staying there. I do believe Cormier's done one way or another. I think we're going to see a new heavyweight champion by the end of the year next year. How many Cormier fights does he have left? We have the over-under at 2. Where do you see it, Nate? Over-under 2, Daniel Cormier.
If it were to go by script, like sticking to the script, he said before he's going to fight one more time and retire.
Yeah, that's it.
I think we've heard this story before from most people. I don't think he has one fight left in him. I think he has more. Dana knows that he's pretty thin at the top when it comes to superstars. And DC is as close to a superstar as he has, as much as anybody. Cormier's going to take one more fight, probably maybe against Lesnar, maybe against someone else, and then they're going to want him to fight Jones. And he's going to say, you want me to fight Jones? It's going to be whatever that number is, 20 million, whatever it is.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Because, Cormier is not going to sell these fights by himself. He got 250,000 buys last time. That was about a tenth of what Conor and Khabib did. So, Cormier is obviously not going to be moving the needle on his own. He needs someone else to be in there. Cormier is big enough of a name to make the Jones fight a huge fight.
Oh, for sure. A lot of history there.
So I think he has at least 2 fights left in him.
So it's a push?
That's where we are right now, 2. That's our number. Does he have one more? I'm going to take the over on this. I think he's going to fight at least one more. I think he has 3 or 4 fights in him still.
The money talks. Especially if
maybe he fights Miocic again. I don't know.
You're not wrong by any of that, and I like your argument.
Depending what the money is, but I don't think the money would be there for a Miocic fight, because it is a big fight, but is it going to sell? I don't think it'll sell enough to make it worth it to Cormier to do it. Whereas a Jones fight would sell enough to make it worth it to him to do it.
I like what you're saying, and I don't think you're wrong. I think if anything, it's going to be a push. I think you're going to see 2, no matter what. I think out of DC, I think he's going to mollywop Lesnar. I think for sure. And then what's next for him? And he could just ride off in the sunset, but should Bones win and keep his nose clean, which, I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, I've gone through this enough with this guy. I don't know what's going on with him. You know what I mean? Like, he could easily destroy Gustav at the end of the year and be done for the sport. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with this guy? For me, I don't trust it anymore. I just don't. And should he win, obviously, that's the fight that people are going to want to see. What if Bones loses? I mean, what about that? I mean, like, Gustav is no slouch. What if he loses? You know what I mean? What if he wins and he's medically suspended for most of the year next year? Will DC wait around to the end of the year to fight again? What happens to the title? I mean, there's so many things here that I don't know, man. I know you said the over, and I kind of like that, but I'm taking the under, man. I feel that's going to be Brock, and then you might be waiting a long time for Bones, maybe a negotiation with Bones. If anything, it's a push, but if not, I'll take the under. I really do. It's going to be, and that's it. New heavyweight champion. I was saying earlier, it's over. I think DC, this is it.
Chris Weidman, the number of fights left in his UFC career, we have it at 4. What are you thinking about the over-under for Chris Weidman's UFC career, the number of fights he has left being 4? Do you have the over or the under on that?
Chris Weidman, 34 years old. Still plenty of career left for Chris Weidman. But, he's lost 4 out of his last 5. He's looked bad in some of these losses. How many more fights? I think the under on this, Nate. Here's the thing. I think he's always in every fight until he loses. But how many chances can you give a guy? With some of these, Musasi, Romero, Rockhold, Sousa, he's been knocked out and KO'd pretty brutally here. You know what I mean? And like suddenly, he'll be winning the fight and then suddenly he's done. I see him possibly continue his career in a Bellator. I think he can still go and win the Bellator, middleweight championship. But I feel like maybe 2 or 3 more here. I mean, he has to go on a real win streak to continue on with UFC, and I don't see that happening with Chris. I mean, I like him, but one way or another, man, I mean, you can't have a guy continue to lose at the top 5 and keep him with the organization.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he had the 2 big wins against Silva, and then, he had a couple more wins, that were good, obviously, but...
Yeah. Beat Vitor, beat Machida.
Oh, yeah. And, but the 4 or 5 skid is really, showing that the sport is catching up with them. And some of these losses came from mistakes that came from mental errors.
Yep.
Things that, it's not like the guy was bigger and stronger or the guy did something better, but where, like we are, obviously we talked about the Musasi fight and everyone knows how I feel on that. but I mean, even like the Romero fight though,
Listen,
I mean, he had some big errors in that, some big mental errors in the Sousa fight. That was a big shot that he took, but I've seen people take bigger shots. I mean, that wasn't the biggest shot you've ever seen that put him down.
Romero hit him with that tiger knee.
So I do kind of.
Romero hit him with that hellacious flying knee to the face.
Oh, I know, I agree, but I mean, like he also made some other errors in that fight, like getting hit with that knee in the first place.
No, yeah, I'm just saying that kind of knee takes years off your life. That's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. I mean, I totally agree with that. Because I do think his chin has softened a little bit since.
Well,
then.
Think about this, man. I mean, when he went on that crazy run, beating Silva, undefeated, going up to fight Anderson, all that. When he beat Vitor Belfort, very convincingly in the first round. That was 2015. Okay, now we're getting into 19 here, Nate, and he's always done is lose, basically. And yeah, man, I mean, I could continue to. He's young enough to continue fighting, and he probably still wants to, but I don't see his career going definitely under. I mean, easy under with this. I think I do, easy under.
I also have the under for it, and so now we have the Diaz brothers. Oh. So between Nate and Nick Diaz, the number of fights they'll have in 2019, the number is 3. Now, we already have Nick Diaz scheduled for Masvidal. That's coming up this spring. I'm not sure when it is. When is it? February?
Yeah, February. But either way, he's booked. He's literally booked for a fight.
So we have one on the books already.
Nate's been offered 1 million fights. Keeps turning them down too.
Nate says that he's holding out for Khabib and Conor. Those are the fights that he wants. Those are the fights that he deserves.
He could have gotten involved.
What do you think of that?
He could have gotten involved with this. First of all, like we had said last week, he's supposed to fight Poirier in a fantastic matchup. Poirier had a fallout, and Nate could have taken another fight. Years ago, the Diaz brothers would take that fight, and now they're on some other shit. I don't really understand. I mean, Nate Diaz, when's the last time Nate Diaz fought? I mean, like, when is the last time Nate's fought? And now, between these 2 Diaz brothers, you would think years ago, 3 fights between the 2 of them would be an easy over. No, easy over. And, but these guys fight multiple times a year. I mean, we're talking years ago. Now it's like they're never in the ring. I don't understand what the deal is. I mean, if it was any other guy but the Diaz brothers, we'd be up in arms about it. You know what I mean? But like, fact of the matter is, these guys aren't fighting. Hope Nick. Let's see about Masvidal with Nick. I think you see Nick fight twice next year. I think he wants to come back. It's been a while for Nick. I can think you easily get 2 out of Nick. And then it really comes down to Nate. Is Nate going to get that 1 fight or 2 fights? I don't know. I don't know, man. You're going to see Nick fight twice in my mind. At least twice next year. After that, I don't know about Nate. Does he want to fight anymore? And he got a big payday against Conor. Does he even want to fight anymore? I don't know.
Well, with Nate Diaz, I mean, let's just be real here. I mean, like, this guy has a losing record over the last 6 years. The guy's 4-7 since December 2012. Lost to Benson Henderson, lost to Josh Thompson, lost to RDA. He had the fight with McGregor at 170. Obviously, he's way bigger than Conor was during their first fight. And if he didn't win that fight against Conor, we wouldn't be talking about him right now. He wouldn't be in the conversation. He had the fight against Conor. He hit the jackpot, came back and fought again, lost majority decision. A good fight, a close fight.
He lost that fight.
A fight that
he lost.
He lost that fight. He was in that fight, but he lost that fight. What have you done since? Nothing. So he's not in the picture anymore. To me, he's not even in the division. He's done. When he decides to fight, then he'll be in the division again. So I don't care what he has to say. I don't care what he thinks. I don't care if he wants to fight. Sign the contract or shut your mouth and go away.
Over under. What do you think? Over under. Easy fight.
Under.
Under.
I don't think Nate fights this year. I don't think Nick fights more than once. I think between the two of them, they fight once, and that's this fight, and this fight only.
If that fight even goes down, we still got a lot of time before that even goes off, right? So yeah, I mean, I think personally Nick will fight more than once next year, but I don't know.
I'd like to see him fight more than once, but I don't think it's going to happen.
But Nate, though, I don't know. If anything, maybe he fights once, Nate. But you're right when you're talking about the lightweight division, and the guys, in that pseudo tournament that Dano's talking about, and Nate. Those are the guys. Those four guys are the ones that we should be talking about for the title picture. Nate. He's outside looking in, man. You're not fighting. Poirier's been fighting. Conor's been out there. Khabib, Tony, they're out there. You know what I mean? And Nate is just like, he, like you said, he hit the lottery a little bit, subbed the dude out, and they got a big payday. If that's what you want to do, man, good. Go blaze it out. SoCal, baby, do it up. Don't come back. If you're not going to fight, don't fight. I just don't want to hear about it anymore.
Hey, fuck the fucking Diaz brothers. Fuck them all. I buried those cockroaches.
And I think the under 2, man. I think it's 2. I think Nick, 2 fights at least, hopefully, but definitely not. I mean, like either Nick fights once and Nate fights once, and that's it, or Nick fights twice and you never see Nate again. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah, and this fight with Conor, when was it? It had been at least 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yep, 2 years ago.
Okay, so the last one we're going to do is Kron Gracie. New signing with the UFC. Huge signing, son of Rickson Gracie. So we're going to say the number of consecutive wins Kron Gracie needs before getting a title shot. We have that at 3. Rich, 3 consecutive wins by Kron Gracie is what he needs before getting a title shot. Do you have the over or the under on that?
I think the under on that. Pretty easy because, number one, a lot of X factors with Kron Gracie. Everyone's very, very excited, and I'm not going to go on a big rant here, but, if we're talking about, Kron Donahue, we're not talking about this at all. You know what I'm saying? He's got the name, he's got the pedigree, he's looked good, but let's see what happens. I mean, he can go out there and get shelled first round. Who knows, right? Who knows in MMA, right? But that being said, he's got the pedigree. He looks really good, and I think as soon as if he comes out and gets some convincing wins, he's gonna destroy Bruce Leroy. He's gonna kill him. I mean that and then what's next from him? You got to give him a top 5 guy, top 10 guy, and if he looks even a smidgen of good, they're going to want to push this 145 because, look what happened with Derek Lewis and Ngannou. These guys weren't ready for title shots, and they got them because they looked impressive, and they got, they needed to fill a spot. You're telling me if Kron gets 2 in a row here and looks good, which I think he will, he's not going to be vying for that title shot. I think it's going to be elite. I'd say 2 wins, 3 at most, and they're going to push it. But I think after 2, if he looks good, they're going to put him in there. I mean, very easily. He's got the name, the history. They can't wait to get a Gracie in the title fight. They couldn't wait to do it.
I like what you're saying here, and I definitely agree with pretty much all of it. I think he's going to just destroy Bruce Leroy. I think he's going to tie him up in a knot, and I think a lot of people are going to take notice of him. I think he's one of the top submission fighters in the world. I think he showed in his fight against Kawajiri that he can take a shot, at least from Kawajiri, who has pretty heavy hands. The fight that I want to see him have is with Brian Ortega. And I mean, I thought Brian Ortega was going to win last night. So I was thinking, how long will it take Gracie to get to Ortega if Ortega's a champion? Well, it's not going to take them that long. I mean, like they might give him Ortega after he beats Bruce Leroy, but I doubt they'll give him Ortega that quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys you could put.
There's a lot of guys you can give him. I mean, do you know another guy that I want to see that we saw a while ago? We've only seen him once, though. Is that guy Don Madge? I want to see that guy fight again too.
Oh, for sure.
But anyways, Kron Gracie, they want Gracie to be on the card. They want the name in the spotlight. And even if Kron Gracie's not ready, I mean, not saying that they want Gracie to get beat up and slaughtered, but I mean, if like Max Holloway slaughtered Kron Gracie, I mean that would be great for Max Holloway. So I don't know if the UFC is totally opposed to doing that either.
I just think that it'd be you'd kind of ruin it a little bit. He's undefeated. Okay, so you think about this. He fights Caceres.
Well, he also only has a 4-0 record,
right.
So I mean, he needs a few more fights for Pete's sake. I mean, he has like 4 fights.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's to be talking about the top of the division. I think it's too early. Even after a win, be too early. But you see, you beat Caceres and you put him in the top 15, and then you could do another fight. You could put him against Darren Elkins, or you could put him against even a Jeremy Stevens, who's number 6. You know what I mean? Or even a Lamas or a Darren Elkins at 145 would be a fantastic matchup to showcase where Gracie's at the top 15. If he looks great against tough dudes like Lamas and Elkins who are well rounded, if he comes out looking fantastic there.
Or Korean Zombie.
Korean Zombie is another one. One of these guys that really could showcase where he's at with the stand-up and where he's at with the ground game. But, the whole facet of the game against a guy people have seen, you know how things go in the UFC. Things could happen. A guy drops out or, we really need to fill the card. And they like to move these pieces around. You know what I mean? So I think if he's impressive 2 wins in a row, people are going to start really talking about it. And if, let's say, it all goes down the way we all would like it to go down, it would be 3 fights. You'd get into the top 15 with Caceres, and then into the top 10 or more with, an Elkins, Zombie, Zabit, one of these guys, Yair, any of these guys looks good against them. Then you move up to the, then after that 3rd fight, now we're talking about one of these guys, you know what I mean? Like, listen, Ortega, Holloway, they may not even be there in time for Kron. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're going to move up to 155, maybe Kron, he's going to be the guy then. You know what I'm saying? Then you're talking about Kron on 145. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But I would think definitely under politics or performance is going to meld together here, and you're going to see an under situation with that to get that title shot. I do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it'll be under 2. And like something that I would like to see, if like ever possible, is to see Kron eventually go up to 55 and take on Khabib.
Well, listen, we are putting, the cart's not even in front of the horse. I mean, the cart is like, in the next country, and we're trying to get there. I mean, like, that would be awesome. But, this kid hasn't even fought in UFC yet. So, I mean, yeah, grappling, the Ortegas, the Holloways, the Khabibs and stuff. Like we said, I mean, if he needs 2 or 3 more here, assuming he does all that, that's going to be fantastic. But, let's see. You know what I mean? Let's see.
Well, because another thing is, like, Kron's the same age as Khabib. Like, they're both 30, or they're both like 30 or 31. So, few years down the road, we'll see.
So, getting into it, UFC on Fox 31 is next Saturday. It's going to be the final card for Fox and their run. ESPN, as we talked about, is taking over in 19. And they put together a nice little card here. In the prelims, we got a great ladies matchup at 125. They're really building that division with Jessica Rose Clark against Andrea Lee. It's a great striking matchup at flyweight. And the 125-pound division right now is so shallow that either one of these girls could really be fighting Valentina next. I mean, honestly. And KGB Lee making a return to the octagon following her debut against Maya Usman fight night earlier this year. She won a unanimous decision over Veronica Macedo, which was a fight of the night. So this girl's got a little bit of juice on her. You know what I mean? Jessica Rose Clark always comes to play too. That's going to be an exciting little fight there at the prelims. And then we also have, Bobby Green, exciting vet. He's taking on Drakkar Klose at lightweight. Bobby always brings it. That's a good fight to look for too at lightweight. So you got a little juice in the prelims.
You do. And starting off the main card, you have Jim Miller and Charles Oliveira too. And these guys, these guys are some old war-torn vets gonna lock horns again. The rematch was in 2010.
Yep.
And Jim won that by knee bar in the first round. So these guys have some unfinished business, and I want to see him get back into it here.
Listen, if you don't know who Jim Miller is, turn off the podcast and stop listening to us. I mean, like, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, Jim Miller has fought the most times for the UFC at 30 bouts. Okay, he's been in there with literally everybody. Always brings a good fight. He's had 6 fight of the nights, I guess. And honestly, an all-time UFC bout against Lozon in 2012, and the rematch was dope too. But that first fight was, when you talk about top 10 fights, probably there. Great fight. Okay.
Well, wasn't the rematch also fight of the night? The rematch too?
Yeah, the rematch was also fight of the night. I mean,
isn't it awesome? Like, you have two fights with the same guy, and both are fight of the nights.
I mean, Joe Lozon and Jim Miller are just staples of they define what being an MMA fighter is about. I mean, they're great. NCAA wrestler, BJJ black belt. He's coming off a win against Alex White, but, he's lost 4 before that. I don't know how many more fights we get. Jimmy's got left here.
Well, it's like Oliveira is like basically like a Brazilian clone of Jim Miller in a way.
Yep.
Because then he's a shoot box fighter and he fights out of Sao Paulo. He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. But like Miller, he's fought everybody. He's been around the block. He's a grizzled veteran. He has the most submissions in UFC history at 11, and it broke the record held by Hoist.
It could go either way here. I think personally, Oliveira's going to exact his revenge. I mean, it was a long time ago since they fought last. He's hot. I mean, he just got, he made national news by beating Hoist Gracie's record. And, I think this is, and like I said, I don't know how many more Jim's got left here, but I think it's going to be a great fight and a great way to kick off the card. But I don't know. I like Oliveira in that fight for sure.
Yeah, and I think I do like Oliveira. I think I would like to see Miller win it, but I think Oliveira is the better pick.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we got Rob Font, Sergio Pettis. We went from the veterans, Miller, and all that to now we got the young bloods here, Font and Pettis. Now, Pettis is trying to get back into that top 15. Rob Font, number 11. And although both guys are BJJ, purple belts, and they're well rounded, this is mostly going to be a striking match, I feel.
Yeah, Rob Font has his own Muay Thai pedigree, though, and well, they both do, I guess. Rob Font is also a well-established striker, and they're both coming off losses in their last fights, and Sergio wants to get back on the top 15 with a win. This one is pretty tricky for me to call. I guess I would probably look toward Pettis for this one, but, I can see it going either way.
Could go either way. I mean, both guys are strong kickboxers. We got Duke Rufus with the boys on the over there, Rufus Sport with Pettis. And, he's not as crazy creative as his brother, but, he's definitely clean, and he's going to be an exciting striking match for sure. But getting into another great striking match here, and this could be a top kickboxing match anywhere you go. We're going to get to the predictions now. The co-main, Edson Barbosa, number 5, versus number 14, Dan the Hangman Hooker at lightweight. Another strong lightweight matchup here, buddy. Both great strikers. I mean, Edson Barbosa, Joe Rogan called him the best kicker in MMA, period, stop. So that's pretty high praise there. Nasty kicks he has.
I'm not surprised to hear Rogan say that because he is outstanding. Barbosa's coming off a 2-fight losing streak, coming off of losses to Khabib and Kevin Lee. So those are two of the best in the world in the weight class. Barbosa showed a lot of heart against Khabib. I remember him taking a lot of punishment early, and then showing some flashes of resurgence later in the fight. So he's certainly really tough, and he certainly has really good stamina. Dan Hooker's on a 4-fight winning streak, so he has the wind at his back. I still think Barbosa's the better fighter, though. I think he's the better striker. I just think he's better overall, and I'm going with Barbosa with a decision victory in this.
Well, Dan Hooker has got some, nasty striking. He's very lanky. He has some nasty elbows, and he actually has a great standing knee. You don't see that often, especially finishing guys. He beat Jim Miller and Ross Pearson with just a straight standing knee to the face, which is pretty awesome. He can also pull out some guillotines. He's done that. If you get kind of crazy with a grappling situation with a clinch, he can pull that out. He's lanky enough. But I think you're right. I think Barbosa needs this one. He came off some losses to Khabib and Kevin Lee, but we're talking about some of the strongest grapplers in that division, whereas Hooker, he's knocking out grappling, man. This is going to be a striking match where I think Barbosa excels here. And I agree. I think Barbosa needs this one, and he may not be as crazy aggressive and will lead to a decision win, I feel, too. Barbosa. I completely agree with you, man.
That brings us to our main event with the Motown Phenom, Kevin Lee, against Al Iaquinta. And this is a rematch from about 4 years ago.
Right. That's at 169, and that was Kevin's debut. Al won a unanimous decision in that fight. Al dropped Kevin Lee with a right hand in that fight, which he tends to do. Al's got some power. This one, you've seen a lot of striking matches leading up into this one. This could very well be a grappling match. Could go a variety of different ways. How do you see this one going, my man?
Well, Iaquinta did win their previous fight, obviously, and it was 4 years ago. I mean, Lee's 26 now, so he was 22 then. And Iaquinta was 27 then. He's 31 now, so he's not old by any means. But I think Kevin Lee has improved more since then than Iaquinta has. And that's not a slight against Iaquinta. He's a great fighter. But I think Lee's a better fighter right now. I think he's more well-rounded. I think in a year or two from now, Lee is going to be right there at the very top of this weight class with Khabib and with whoever else is there. I think Lee's going to win this fight by a decision. I think he's going to control it on the ground. I think he's a better wrestler than Iaquinta. I think he's going to win a unanimous decision.
With Kevin Lee, I see a guy that, has really strong ground and pound, great grappling. Obviously loves the rear naked choke. He's finished a lot of guys with that rear naked choke. Whereas I see Iaquinta, he has some good grappling, but you don't really see it. He tends to stands and bangs, loves that right hand. He's dropped a lot of dudes with that right hand hook. He loves that. And I just feel that you saw a guy Iaquinta, kind of take a step up. I mean, he looked, listen, no one thought he had a chance against Khabib in their fight at lightweight.
And he did pretty well against Khabib, I thought.
Bro, he did awesome. He did better than anybody expected by a long margin. He was there to play. He was game the entire time. And he never put Khabib in a problem per se, but everyone thought it was going to be a first round mauling. And that didn't happen. You saw a game dude handling a guy that I feel in every facet is better than Kevin Lee. And when you see that, now you got a full camp. Now you got a situation where, listen, if you don't think, Sarah and the boys have a situation for knowing where, listen, Kevin wants to go for that rear naked every time. They know this. They're going to be able to defend that. And I feel they're going to try to keep it on the feet where I feel that Iaquinta has more power. I really do. And I'm calling it right now. I'm calling it an upset. I really am. I'm calling a third round knockout Al Iaquinta against Kevin Lee. I think Kevin Lee, you're right. I think he's right there at top of the division, the lightweight division. But I think Iaquinta is on the step up here. And I don't know, man. I feel that with the skill set, styles make fights. And I feel that if Iaquinta, even if it goes to the ground, I think he's going to be comfortable enough there, to deal with all that. He's right there with Khabib. How much worse could it be? It's not going to get any worse than that. So that's past him. So I think he's going to have the confidence here, stand and bang with Kevin Lee. And Lee can be a little cocky. Maybe
he can be. You're totally right about that for sure.
He can be a little cocky, and I feel like Lee wants to prove something now. He's going to be, listen, I was a different, like you say, he was a different guy 4 years ago. That was his premiere 4 years ago. But you know what? He did get dropped, and if he wants to sit there and bang with Quinta, he could get dropped, and I think it could happen. I'm talking about third round KO, Al Iaquinta, man. I'm calling the upset.
All right. Well, that wraps us up this week.
Yeah, man, that wraps us up. Please come check us out at TBMMA Pod on Twitter, at Trading Blows on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook, of course.
Yeah, and check out our watch parties on Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock.
Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock. And let me tell you, next week we're going to come at you again. Can't wait. We're going to react off of the Fox situation. So can't wait to talk to you guys soon. Keep the questions coming. Keep the over-unders coming. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Have a good week. Like we just heard, check us out on Twitter at TBMMAPod or on Instagram at Trading Blows. You can also find us on Facebook at Trading Blows Podcast. And please rate and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you're listening.